Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Language Arts Gallery. Today, we're going to continue with writing a fictional narrative for young learners. So please remember to subscribe to my channel so you get this video and all the videos in this genre of writing. You'll also get all of my academic writing and creative writing videos. So let's go ahead and get started. We're moving into day 3. And in our last lesson, we talked about developing the introduction in our fictional narrative. Today, we're going to talk about the body of our essay, and we're going to talk about how great writers move the plot along throughout their narrative. We're going to talk about sequence words, which we've learned about in several of our other genres of writing. This is something I teach my first, second, and third graders. But as we get to become more advanced writers, we realize that we need to develop our plot. We need to develop the small moments in that plot to make it interesting for a reader. So let's go ahead and review. Remember, we said a fictional narrative is a made-up story. Because it's made up, you can be as creative as you want to be. It doesn't have to be something that could really happen. It can be about real people doing real things, but it can also be about things that couldn't happen in real life. Our fictional narrative is all about an animal who is teaching us a lesson. Remember, we said that we organize our text around a problem and solution text structure. So the main character or characters have a problem that they have to solve or they have to figure out. And remember, we introduce that problem in the beginning of the text, in our introduction. In the middle of our text, the characters are working towards a solution. And then finally, at the end of our essay, the problem is solved and we understand what lesson we learned. So remember, we said that there's one major problem that the text is organized around, but characters can encounter several smaller problems throughout the text. Now, when we're writing a fictional narrative, we said that we can move the order of events or the sequence of events along by using sequence words. And those are words like first, next, then, and last. Those are our big 4. We also have words and phrases like finally, after that, in the morning, after lunch, soon, at 2 o'clock. You can also use phrases like a little while later, instantly, to indicate that something happened right away, immediately. Those are all words and phrases we can use to indicate the time that something is happening and the order that events are happening in. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at our model essay. I know we've read through this, so I'm not going to read through it again. I'm going to give you an opportunity to pause the video and to read through it. And as you're reading through it, I want you to look for sequence words that you see. And I also want you to look for opportunities to add more sequence words to our text. So go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to move myself over here. Pause the video and go ahead and read this text. And then think about how you can identify sequence words as well as add sequence words. Okay, welcome back. So we've got a lot of great sequence words in here. We've got from morning till night, until Polly arrived, one afternoon, finally, and in the end. Now, when I look at the body in particular, I've got some phrases, some words and phrases that are used almost to signpost what's happening in the story, but I don't have a lot of sequence words that really indicate what's happening in between here, in between these big moments, as each event moves along, what's happening. So I want to add some other sequence words in order to do that. Now I see I've got at first, Krabby the Crab tried to ignore her. Here I see soon and before long. After that, I like this. Eventually, instead of in the end, eventually, something we were waiting for finally happened. and from then on. So I think the authors used a lot of great sequence words, a lot of great sequence phrases to move the bigger parts of the plot and some of those smaller parts along for the reader. Now we want to talk about how we can really elongate those events and develop those small moments. So after we introduce the problem, we're beginning to move towards its resolution. We said that we're doing that in the body of the essay. And as we're working to do that, a lot of important events are happening, and great storytellers develop those small events for the reader. So let's take a look at an example. Here I've got a very short, very simple description of Krabby getting upset with Polly. It says, one sunny afternoon, Krabby scuttled over to Polly, waving his big red claw. Polly, can you be quiet for just 5 minutes? He snapped. Now, that's good. And I see one sunny afternoon. I think that gives us an indication of the time of day. But when I rewrite this, I really draw out this moment. I elongate it. It says, one sunny afternoon, Krabby scuttled over to Polly, waving his big red claw. His shell clicked against the rocks as he marched across the sand. He took a deep breath. Polly, he said through gritted teeth, can you be quiet for just 5 minutes? His claw shook in the air. So as we read through this, the author used a lot of sensory language, language that appeals to our five senses. He's scuttling over. I think that's a really strong verb. He's not walking over, he's scuttling over. His shell is clicking, right? That's a sound that I might hear that helps me to picture Krabby moving towards Polly. His shell's clicking against the rocks and he's marching. That's another great descriptive verb, a strong verb. He's marching across the sand. Then he doesn't just speak to Polly, he takes a deep breath first. So, as readers, we know we do this. We'll take that deep breath when we're about to say something that's really important. Maybe something that's taking a lot of courage, or perhaps we're really angry about something. In this case, I know Krabby's very angry. So, he's about to say to Polly that he wants her to be quiet. And then he says this through gritted teeth. So he's so angry. He's like, Polly. So I get this indication of exactly what's happening. The author develops and lengthens that moment for me. So now, and again, you can pause the video, and you can go back and you can read through this. And you can see how this descriptive language, where we've elongated these moments, really helps to develop this essay and draws out the plot for the reader. So finally, a splash came from the ocean. A dolphin, a silver dolphin, a sleek silver dolphin, leapt into the air and landed with a graceful flip. So that really helps me to imagine Dolly arriving on the scene. So I think this author's done a really, really nice job of drawing out the plot for the reader. Now I want to give my students an opportunity to complete this graphic organizer. When they go back to their seats, they're going to hopefully have 3 to 5 big events that they're going to want to share in their story. Now they can add sequence words with each event. And then I want them to choose just one of those events. And I want them to really work on developing that event, drawing it out for the reader, thinking of exactly what happened, what they can describe, and using those sensory details. They might use vivid description, they might use dialogue, but hopefully they're also using those sensory details. And then students can come back to the carpet to share that one moment that they decided to draw out for their reader. All right. So thank you guys so much for joining me for another terrific lesson here at the Language Arts Gallery. And I will see you in our next lesson where we'll work on day 4 of our fictional narrative, where we talk about writing a great conclusion.